What's up guys, ZiSotto here, and today we're taking a look at the patch notes for patch 5.23, which is Godslayer, the release patch of not only the Ares tier 5 skin, but also a new Zhong Kui skin and a free skin, a free Kuzenbo skin. So quite a lot to cover here, and also quite a few really nice balance changes. So generally definitely a good patch, and with that, let's jump right into it. Starting with the skins, as usual, go over them real quick and then go to balance. The first one here is Jingle Shells Kuzenbo. So the skin card here kind of gives away what it is. It's a Kuzenbo Christmas skin with the kappas being like in these little snowballs. The skin is otherwise not changed in its effects or the voice packs or anything like that. And that's because it's completely free. If you play any game, like any SMITE game mode, in the next patch, you don't even have to win, you get the skin. It's basically a passion project of like some designers on the side and something that Hi-Rez wants to give back to the community essentially. And I think that's super cool. I think the skin is super cool. So yeah, I'm 100% down with that. And I mean, a Christmas Kuzenbo skin is like a pretty good concept as well, with like the Christmas tree being his back basically, the lights and everything. So I am super happy about this, and you know, you can complain about a lot of things that Hi-Rez does here and there, but this is not one of them. This is just really cool. Next one is Dual Attack Hell. I'm not only not a fan of tech skins, but this one is actually really cool in my opinion. The dark version looks a little bit like the Nemesis tech skin we've already seen, but the light version is very unique and it just has this really cool vibe, and the visual effects of the skin are absolutely amazing, the in-game effects. I have uploaded the patch notes review at this point, hopefully as well. It's hopefully processed. So if you want to check them out there, go ahead and do that. I'd highly recommend it. Just the one looks so cool. So yeah, I really like that one. And then we have Kitty Kaboom Circuit. Yes, this is not a Basset skin. This is a Circuit skin. Kind of goes in line with the Bellona skin that we already have. And yeah, this one, I think style-wise is pretty cool. I like the concept. The tail looks a bit weird to me, honestly, in-game, that is. What is really cool about the skin is that it has a visual indicator when you hit an enemy with an ability. They get like a word popping up above them, which you may or may not like, but the cool thing about it is that if you use your one, then you will see if you confirmed all 3 hits, because it will, you know, have 3 words popping up above the enemy if you confirm all 3 hits. And that helps like getting better with Circuit for sure, because then you know, okay, am I aiming my one right? Am I doing this properly? Am I timing it right? So I can hit all 3 hits reliably. So especially for people learning Circuit, this skin is really cool. Then we have Hera Battle Born. This one is basically just a battle mage version of Hera, a bit more armor. Argus looks a bit different as well, has a bit more armor as well, I guess, but like he has these wings that Hera has here too, on the back, a bit more like peacock inspired apparently. I think a cool skin overall. It's unfortunately locked in the Odyssey, and I feel like it's not quite high tier Odyssey level skin. For me, it feels more like a tier 2 skin, which Hi-Rez doesn't really do anymore. But yeah, it has some unique effects and everything, and unique voice lines that come with it. So it's not really a tier 2 skin, but it gives me that vibe in a way. Then we have Izanami Spirit Stalker. We already have the Ah Puch skin of that, and we have the Bakasura skin. This is the 3rd one now. I think it's cool, but I think it would be cooler if they were like a little bit more different. Her one has a little bit more cloth, which you can see down here, kind of, but you can see it better in game. But I wish they would just, you know, make her maybe purple-ish more, or green-ish or something. Just right now they all look so similar that if you put them on a team together, it might actually be very hard to even tell them apart in the first place. And as much as I like this concept, the Spirit Stalker concept, that's a bit not so favorable in my opinion. Baron Samedi gets a Dracula skin, basically, Count Baron Samedi. A few change effects here, like a lot of red going on, a lot of bats going on in the skin overall. I think it's cool. I think it's not a bad skin, and pun not intended, but I just realized. But what I think with this skin is that it's not like as cool as the other skins in this patch. And that is also due to the fact that some of these default skin and the reskin that he has are so cool already that I feel like this one just kind of pales in comparison because it takes away a lot of the typical Samdi elements. And then we have Stitched Horror Zhong Kui. We've waited long enough. This has finally come out. And this skin was in collaboration with like a fan art creator for SMITE as well. So that is pretty cool. He has this little ghost flying next to him, like kind of like, I would almost say a cutesy ghost that follows him when you have his 3 and kind of interacts in all kinds of animations with the abilities. I gotta be honest, I know that a lot of people love this skin and I think the overall concept looks cool, but I was expecting a little bit more. He also has a special emote where he flies on his broom, he rides on his broom. But I felt that, especially from the fact that he is, you know, he is basically a walking sack. You can, like, he's tied up there. And he's got all these holes where you can like kind of see the ghosts glowing through. I was hoping that there would be some way in which we would see that more. For example, have like in his ultimate, have him like have the bag pop open and like come the ghost out, have the ghost come out of the top or out of the rips in the fabric here, basically something like that. I thought there was a bit more potential that wasn't really touched here. He's got a reference to not having a skin for a very long time as well in his voice pack, which is kind of funny. And I don't know what's up here because it says Zhong and then it says 2013 until 2014. I'm not sure if that's the last time he got a skin. That might be it, but yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe it's a joke to the fact that he never got a skin after that year, but I'm not entirely sure. And then we have Ares Godslayer, the tier 5 skin. I'm not sure why he's only showing 1 card here, but you have 4 different stages of this skin that you can go through. The first 3 are somewhat similar. The first one is like the blue, gold, holy one, and then he turns more black and red and slowly transforms more and burns more and everything. But they share like the same animations, and apparently the voice pack slowly changes, but we couldn't hear that yet. And then this one stands out as a separate one, which has completely different animations again and everything. What is really cool is that you can switch between the 4 forms once you've reached the final form, so level 20. You can use a special emote to switch through them. And what's also really cool is that this uses the model, the newer model of Ares skins. I'm not quite sure what it's called, but the one with the smaller hands and everything that is a little bit taller. In my opinion, just the better designed one, the more up-to-date one, and kind of what they would do if they were to still remodel guards. I think, you know, kind of like with So Big, if they didn't get that backlash for remodeling guards, they would have remodeled all of Ares skins to this type of design, which in my opinion looks a lot better. And last but not least, this one has really cool animations on the ultimate, which I think is a good selling point, I guess, for it. I'm probably not going to get it because I'm not a big fan of Ares really. I think he has good enough skins already, but I think it's a good skin regardless, and it's worthy of a tier 5. And with that, let's listen to the voice packs real quick. As always, make sure to turn down your headphones if you're on headphones, because this might be loud. Can I not hear it, or is it just default voice pack anyways?
We have optimized the path to victory. This will not take long.
Oh, so you're into ska too? I guess we can hang out.
Your queen is here. Soldiers, it's time to attack!
Yes, this land smells of death. It is beautiful.
Women, children, men, be brave. This vampire has left his grave.
We hadn't heard anything of that voice pack yet because it was actually the wrong one on the testing client, so that's pretty cool. I actually like that voice pack a lot. It sounds nice.
You know what goes bump in the night? I do.
I have made my choice. I will be all-powerful. Nothing else matters. I will grant this wish.
I think this one is not a voice line of the skin that you see here. So what happens is that throughout the skins, first, Ares is still very present. Ares as the holy knight, basically. And the more you progress, the more the dark demonic voice at the end takes over until it like completely takes over in the last skin. And Ares just has the occasional voice line. Like apparently it sounds like he's trapped in the distance. So this one is like the starting skin where he's getting influenced by that demon voice. So yeah, I'm gonna see how they all sound. So what's gonna happen with the skins? Where are they all? Hera's Odyssey of Kings and Dragons. Get Dual Tech Hell, Kitty Kaboom's Cat, Shadowstalker Izanami, Stitch Horror Zhong Kui, Unamused Hera Deathmark, Regal Level Up skin, and the Argus Ward skin. Which is interesting to me because it looks like this is more than the normal release cycle for a single patch in terms of skins, if they're all in the Odyssey actually. So yeah, that would be cool. And then the bonus items are the Regal HUD skin, which I've briefly seen somewhere and it actually looks really cool. I'm not sure why they didn't show that off because it's actually really nice. And I wish the HUD skins weren't always that deep down in the Odyssey. And then there's Battle Queen Hera and obviously Godslayer Ares. And there's also a new mini adventure. I really hope it doesn't replace Domination just yet. And this is Loki's on the naughty list. So this is actually a pretty cool idea. This is kind of recycling the part of Shadow of Hercules where you fight this like buffed up Loki, but you don't have to grind through the rest of it. And I honestly always thought that adventure was just poorly designed because the grind was just not fun and way too long. And this way you can experience the final boss of it without having to grind through the whole adventure because Hera said that a lot of people haven't actually seen the final boss. So I think this is cool. And this gives you, you know, a way to quickly run that. And yeah, they're bringing it back. I just hope not at the cost of Domination. And then we have some changes to Project Olympus. Player gifting is basically explained once again, but it's now like possible completely and you can send others gifts. UI, the play screen and match lobby screens have been updated on PC, and the friend list and party menus have been updated on all platforms. Some new additions to the Awesome Chest, which are apparently not mentioned here. Interesting. Fantasy Point Store. We also get new ones here. Twisted Metal Morrigan, Keiju Sobek, and Torment Bellona. Torment Bellona is excellent. I actually like all of these skins. Twisted Metal is a bit meh, but the rest is nice. New loadout items. Sanguine Avatar, Sanguine Loading Frame, probably in combination with that Sunday skin, and Godslayer Jump Skin and Recall Skin. Skins. Count Baron Sunday will not be available when update 5.23 goes live. Will go at a later date after 5.23. And Zhong Kui's Mastery skins have also been updated, and they also look pretty nice now. I really like how they updated them. I think that was a good style choice there. Bug fixes. Okay, fix an issue with a red ground target appearing beneath buff camps in the tutorial. Then friend referral issue on the console, and an issue for Sean Spark Mercury where this skin would play a voice line multiple times when using an ability. All this kind of minor stuff. Aegis Amulet, fix an issue when upgrade. Aegis Amulet could be used and unintended times, like while already firing an ability. At unintended time, I'm assuming. So basically, you could use it at the same time as something else, I suppose. Whatever, it's fixed. A Muslim Cup, a Beast updated description to show how much damage Beast does. Hell switch stances reduce the percentage change of Hell saying a voice line whilst changing stances from 100% to 60%. I will protect you. That is nice. A 60% is still a lot, but the switch between I will protect you and now you will know pain is something that can get really annoying if you're switching a lot. So I get that change, you know, I like that. Just make it 40% instead, you know. Ah Puch, God balance. Blah, 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 blah. We don't even need to read all of this because Ah Puch was performing very well in competitive at Worlds. Was a key factor in zoning off enemies when it came to like any structures, when it came to extending any game, really prolonging any game, and when sieging enemies because of the ultimate. And also Undead Surge got the buff not too long ago that it has 2 corpses, so what was done was, on one hand, Undead Surge got a small nerf here with the slow duration being decreased from 3 seconds to 2 seconds, still enough to detonate it under the enemy's feet though. And the more important change, in my opinion, is Empty the Crypts, decreased duration from 6 seconds to 5 seconds. It's just a second, but it is a second in a team fight that affects 5 members of a team. So this is, in my opinion, very, very relevant, and I think it's a good change. I could imagine that Empty the Crypts will need some more nerfs in the future. Kukulin, apparently not doing that well anymore, which to me is actually surprising, but whatever, apparently. Spear of Mortal Pain, Warcry. Decreased cooldown of Spear Mortal Pain from 100 seconds to 85 seconds. Updated description displayed the cooldown of Kukulin's transformed ultimate of 35 seconds. I was actually not aware of this, so this buff is kind of interesting. I think it will give him a lot more pressure again. Also as a jungler, I think, because you have to keep in mind that this affects his rage gain too with the ultimate. So I think this is an interesting approach. And Kukulin is one of the gods that I wouldn't have expected to get above this patch, but what do you know? I think, yeah, he was actually played in competitive as well, so it's not like he was completely out of the picture or something. The next one, though, Guan Yu, wasn't really played that much. So Guan Yu had a 2 times healing multiplier with Conviction beforehand when he had his full passive. That was nerfed down to 1.5. And Hyris apparently didn't actually expect that to change that much, and I can see why. I wouldn't feel like it's super impactful at first either, even though Guan Yu often relies on his amplified heal. So now we're kind of getting an in-between version where the healing is 1.5 to 1.7 instead. So it is 1.7 instead, which I think is good. I think Guan Yu has not been doing too hot for quite a while now. And while it'll probably need some more changes for him to completely come back, and it really depends on the meta and everything, I think this is a step in the right direction. And we'll see how he does now, how he performs from here on out. Because Guan Yu is like, you can't really compare the balance from Guan Yu back in the day with nowadays anymore, because his passive was changed so much as well, through the fact that it's active for like the entire duration of you being in combat. So he's a very different playstyle overall. Hades. This all makes me so happy. Hades is actually getting big buffs. So on one hand, increased movement speed from 355 to 365. Hades is a god that technically, not saying he's good at it, but technically has all the necessary things that you need to jungle, right? He's got self-sustain, which is a nice bonus, but he also has strong clear with his 3 and with a detonate effect. And he has the mobility to go through walls with his 1. And he's got gank potential with the ultimate as well and with his silence. So, you know, he would be a cool jungler, for example. You know, he's also, in theory, not a terrible solo, but it's another story. But the problem with Hades jungling was always that he is just way too slow. You just rotate to camps so slowly because he's got such low movement speed. And that is being changed with an increase to 365, a 10 increase. Normally we just see like a gradual increase by 5 each. And that is very nice. And I think that opens up the playing field for Hades a lot already in what he can do and where he can be played. On top of that, the bigger change, Pillar of Agony increased protections from 60 to 100 to 60 to 160. A 60 increase at the top, with the rank 1 still being the same. So his early pressure is not going to become overwhelming, because Hades early was never that bad. You know, he's got the sustain, he's got the pressure with the detonate, he's got the clear. So he's alright in early. He's not the best early god, depending on how you want to look at it, with how safely others can clear, but he's definitely not a terrible early god. And if Pillar of Agony was buffed too much on early stages of the game, that would have been scary. Like this, I think is still kind of scary, but in a cool way, because I think Late game Hades just didn't have a lot going for him. And by giving him this much protection, that may change. I think if you can just slap one mixed defense item on him now, like let it be Spirit Rope, let it be Mantle of Discord, or maybe even Height of the Urchin. Height of the Urchin would be ideal, actually. And then you combine that with some health, because you get so many protections from your ultimate. And then if you are able to apply your ultimate effectively in team fights, which is still a big problem for it because enemies can get out of it so easily, but if you're able to do that, that will be a lot more, well, survivable, I guess, for you. So even like a Mage Hades could work better now. Like if you just go into, you know, stuff like maybe Soul Gem, as much as otherwise not the greatest option for Hades specifically. It's still not terrible. Or something like Book of the Dead. Anything that gives you some more survivability that works with the protection somehow, it'll make for some very, very interesting results for Hades. And I'm looking forward to that. I really want to see what happens to him now. And the next one is the last one, but the best one for me personally. You all know at this point that I play Vamana quite a lot, and he's actually one of the gods that I do pretty decently with in the majority of the games I play, and I play him in jungle. But Vamana always has had this one big problem, which is the fact that his ult is just super hard countered by anti-heal. So if the enemy team is paying attention, if they know how to play against Vamana, they just buy 2 anti-heal items and it's over. You don't do anything in your ult anymore, they just shoot through you, and everything else kind of becomes less impactful that way as well, because he just revolves around his ult with. So what are we getting? We're getting a buff to the ultimate, Colossal Fury. Vamana now also gains a stacking health shield every second, equal to 0.6% of his max HP per 0.2 seconds. This shield fades when Vamana's ultimate ends. So that means that in a second, you get a 3% health shield, which is, you know, pretty good. Because the heal's not gone, the shield is on top of the heal. The heal is changed his heal to tick every 0.2 seconds instead of every 1 second. So that sustain is kind of more like, you know, how they changed the fountain as well. More overall sustainy than these burst heals, which is definitely helping him in many, many situations. Even if the enemy applies anti-heals, may make a difference already, because it may mean that, you know, you have like 0.4 more seconds to have some heal applied to you before the anti-heal is applied and not the entire heal being reduced. Vamana still hits the same amount of health each second as he did previously. So, shield plus health. Very, very interesting change here that counters anti-heal, while what was Hyra's goal here, preventing him just sustaining in lane by hiding behind tower once he gets low, ulting, and then going back in. He can now also pass through player-made walls while his ultimate is active. So much. This is the dream patch for Vamana, and therefore for me. The only weakness that Vamana really has now, aside of obviously still anti-heal, but not to the same degree, is that his early game until level 5 is still rough. It's not absolutely horrible, but like especially if you jungle, like keeping up with the other junglers clearing in the early stages is very, very hard. After that, you're gonna have fun now, and I am gonna have so much fun with Vamana. So yeah, that's it for these patch notes. Actually, maybe I'm not going to have as much fun with Vamana because people will start picking him now and I'm going to have to contest him. Maybe I'm not happy about this. Not happy at all. All right. With that, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope this was interesting and insightful. If you're new to the channel, feel free to click the sub button and maybe the bell. It helps me out. And if you want to check out the patch notes live viewing, you can do that here as well. It's going to be linked somewhere. And other than that, see you for the next one tomorrow. And that is probably going to be a Smash video first, if it all works out. Probably a Smite video later. depending on if everything else is planned. DukeSloth, out.